Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. Here at STARCARD Podcast, we get a glimpse at the age of Aquarius ahead of us. We also examine the worlds of education and workplace ethics. My name is Breakaway Ray. I like talking about the breakaway civilizations and breaking away from the one we're in now. You've tuned in to a live tarot throw. Today is August 26, 2025, and today we're going to begin by talking about something called the Peter Principle. One moment, please, while I fetch my notes. Okay, right. So the Peter Principle is something I learned when I got my master's degree in school administration. We were taking management classes, right, and leadership. And the Peter Principle goes something like this. People ascend through the ranks of their organization through promotions because they are competent and maybe even superior at their job. But they plateau at the job where they are no longer competent, right? They ascend because they're doing a good job. They ascend because they're doing a good job. Then they get to this position and they can't do this job, but that's the position that they're stuck at because they can't get promoted from there. So that's not like a 100% thing, but that's just an idea where sometimes in organizations, you get someone who's a leader and that person kind of levels off because they're not cut out for that particular job, perhaps. I'm imagining that anyone tuning in, watching the show now or in the future, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, I think I had a manager or a boss like that once. But anyway, I was thinking while I was on my hike this morning, this would be a dumb topic to bring up at work, no matter who you're talking to, especially your boss. And I mention this because I imagine that when I was younger, that's something I might try to do, just to try to break the ice and try to improve things and have a discussion. You know, my boss is a boss. I learned something about being a boss. I'm sharing it with my boss, but I'm pretty sure no boss wants to hear one of their employees present the Peter Principle to them. I'm sure they'll think it's like, you know, you're dropping some kind of hint here. Anyway, please be advised not to discuss this at work, as I might, but instead let's think about it and use this knowledge to our advantage. So I have shuffled the tarot cards, and I was speaking to the tarot deck and inviting it to comment on the Peter Principle and the other themes that we're going to present today on the program. And to save time, of course, I've shuffled the deck ahead of time and we are ready to throw. So let's go to the tarot can. There we go. All right. So you kind of have an idea, if you've never heard of it before, what the Peter Principle is about. And now we have invited the tarot world to share with us its thought on the Peter Principle and whatever else I might be talking about today. Let me fix this camera real quick. Whoa. Okay. That's great. Let's try this. Oh, the Four of Swords. So I'm going to read right what it says on the card for the Four of Swords. Rest, relaxation, meditation, which is going to be a key word today, contemplation, recuperation, retreat, renewal, and solitude. I kind of like the words meditation and contemplation. Meditation, you'll hear again later on in the program, but also contemplation, it's something worth thinking about, right? That's what we are thinking about. We're thinking about this particular dynamic in the workplace. So now I'm going to shuffle the cards again. We're going to go for a 3-card throw. And this time we're going to invite the tarot world to tell us more about the Peter Principle, what influences the Peter Principle. And then the last card would be, what's a good path forward for all of us? Maybe there's some wisdom the tarot world can share with us about how to address situations where the Peter Principle might be in play, right? Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear on the idea of the Peter Principle. Do you have any tips for us going forward? How to negotiate a situation where the Peter Principle is involved? You know, if. I did say if, right? Thank you very much. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. All right, so we're going to go, I think that's right. So the Peter Principle, something that's influencing the Peter Principle. I have this backwards. And then a path forward, something for us to think about, some way to make it work out for everybody, right? Okay, so let's see. Again, we're discussing the idea of the Peter Principle. The Nine of Cups, wishes come true. It's a great way to start, I can tell you that. Wish come true, contentment, satisfaction, emotional stability, luxury, and gratitude. I would say that emotional stability is probably like the most important thing you need to have in a leader, right? So, you can predict, predictable, logical things in the workplace. But also, by the same token, just by thinking about this and addressing it and trying to address it in a positive way, we may gain a new perspective on working with our own bosses. Okay, so I'm glad I introduced this to people today in case they needed to take another look at something, reevaluate what's going on. All right, next up, it's the Two of Wands. This tells me the tarot world's giving us a vote of confidence, because the Two of Wands also says, you have the green light, go. You know what you're doing. You did all the planning. You did all the work. Now march forward. So, evaluate, be thoughtful about it, right? We're talking about trying to be professional in the workplace. And then, our path forward is the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups reads meditation, contemplation, apathy, reevaluation, and disconnected. So I think the path forward is pretty much the same as the path getting here, because we heard the same words. Let me read again from the Nine of Cups. It said, it said emotional stability. And then over here, it said contemplation, reevaluation. That was from our first one card draw, right? So, think carefully about it, plan carefully, be professional. You have the green light. You're not trying to sink anyone's ship. You're trying to make the whole organization float. But the path forward is we need to keep on thinking about it. And perhaps we don't get to think about it much more on today's program because we have some other notes that I want to get to. So I want to say I see a familiar name in the chat. Hello, Judy. I was in fact thinking about you because I remember that yesterday we were speaking about remote viewing, I think. And last night on the Typical Skeptic podcast, they had Tony Rodriguez on and he was talking all about remote viewing. Let me move my camera up. So anyway, I'm so happy to see you in the chat again. And I'm glad it was helpful. I'm, again, totally appreciate the feedback. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing besides telling fun stories with the tarot card. So thank you so much. I'm going to look down at my paper at my notes because I want to make sure I cover everything, of course. But I think we're doing a good job so far. Okay, so in the description today, I have two new featured videos. One is a video, it's the website Cultivate Elevate. And the young man that hosts that program does an incredible job of bringing old world knowledge forward for everyone's health too. I don't want to steal his thunder. One thing I'm really impressed with is that he taught me about electroculture, where you're using the power of the ether, which is all around us, and you're using it to make your plants grow. And I think I saw a video of his once where he told about how he grew in a pot an orange tree, and he lived like on a 5th floor in an apartment on his patio, and he designed one of those twisted copper coil things, antennas that they use to bring energy in, and the energy from the ether, from the air around us, would go through the copper antenna right into his planter, and his orange tree was growing like crazy. And if you look up electroculture, you could see some amazing vegetables, fruits, plants, all going bananas because they love the ether provided by those copper antennas. I always had the intention of putting some of those in my house, in my yard, but I do have a lot of organ. I just haven't spent a lot of time twisting wire. I've got some other deferred maintenance I have to take care of. So that's a little bit about Cultivate Elevate, and I can't leave this part out either. This gentleman is so great at finding old books with pictures of what the old world looked like, and he asks so many good questions. Anyway, if you haven't heard about this guy's website, I invite you to go check it out. I promise you will learn something faster, because he does like little couple-minute videos. What, I go on for an hour, so you'll learn a lot faster from that guy. And then also, last time I mentioned the Old World Exploration website, we talked about the program they did on the city of Buffalo, New York, where I used to live. Now, I want to illustrate my own parochial, provincial attitudes, okay? I understand what my limits are. I used to live down near New York City, okay? And then I lived in Westchester County. And I know that in that area, we thought, well, we were the first ones pretty much to land on that seaboard, as colonists in America. Even the Dutch were there in the 1600s. So naturally, New York was built up, right? And pretty much everything, west of Syracuse was farmland and cowboys and Indians and stuff. Okay, so I was way off on that. I moved to Buffalo, and I was surprised when I got there what a big city it was, because it even has like that cowboy name, Buffalo. Doesn't even sound like it's going to be a big place, but Buffalo's a remarkable city. Then, 40 years later, I encounter the Old World Exploration and Michelle Gibson and people covering the city of Buffalo, showing pictures of buildings from 150 years ago. Buffalo is amazing. It was amazing. And then, of course, the story only gets better, because just about every city, if not every city on the planet, certainly in North America, is amazing. There's amazing architecture everywhere, and we're not paying attention to it, and a lot of it has been knocked down already. So today I'm calling your attention to the video that came out like a couple of days after I mentioned the one about Buffalo, New York to you, and it's California County Courthouses. And I was really excited to see this. And because I haven't been to all the counties in California, and I had no idea that there were so many Tartarian buildings all up and down the state. I mean, I should have known it, but I've never seen pictures of them before. So that's a great video to watch if you're interested in that kind of stuff. You probably recognize the same design and architecture in your own city if they haven't knocked those buildings down. Now, sadly, when the gentleman in Old World Exploration presents these pictures, he shows what a beautiful building it is. And he might have to show you in an old photograph because it's been knocked down. And then they show you what the new building is, and it's jarring. You're looking at this beautiful building with its columns and its intricate facades and its incredible balance. And then all of a sudden, it's filled up with a giant box. It's not pleasant. It almost hurts. So anyway, congratulations again to Old World Exploration. Congratulations to you, sir, on creating an impactful video. All right, let me see from my notes where else I was going to go with this. Oh, okay. So, I want to tell you two stories that have to do with the power of the mind, and almost like manifesting, in that you have your eye on a goal, you have a dream, you have a vision board, as it were, and you know what you're aiming for. So the first story I want to tell you is about a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I'm not sure which, but this story has been around for a while, so I'm pretty sure anyone can type in their browser some of the keywords and find this story, but you're going to get Breakaway Ray's digested version of it, right? So there was this psychiatrist, I'm going to call him Dr. Meditate, and he was hired to go work in, I'm thinking of the word asylum, a mental health hospital, okay? He was assigned to, be in charge of a whole ward in a mental health hospital. And what he did when he got there was he didn't go and meet his patients right away. Instead, he had the files of each of his patients brought to his office. And then, in a very dramatic way, he spent the very beginning of his job there, a couple of weeks maybe, reading the files and meditating. That's what I'm going to call him, Dr. Meditate. And he was meditating on each of his clients and on their health and envisioning, I suppose, their recovery and their healing. And then, in fact, it didn't take too long until he did meet his clients, and their recovery rate was beyond expectations. Okay, so that's just the power of one man, by the way, just the power of one man doing that. All right, so now I'm going to take that remarkable example, and I want to take that same dynamic almost and bring it into a personal experience I had as a school teacher. And I'm very happy to tell you about this parent that was involved. She was a mom, and she actually lived next door to me. And I never had her students in my class in my homeroom, or her children rather, but I did in like, as a block, like an afternoon teacher, a science teacher, or a math teacher, something like that. But of course, I've been working at school since long before the children were born, and it was kind of a nice thing. I was like a celebrity that lived next door. I wasn't just a man teacher. I was the guy that gave out potatoes at Halloween. So we were cool. We were having fun. I didn't, as long as we mentioned it. We went to, I think it's called Silver Strand down in Channel Islands. Me and the dad and the older brother, we went surfing one day. I'll never forget that. That was a lot of fun. That water was cold. So anyway, we never talked about school so much over the fence, between our yards and the front yard or in the backyard. But in fact, I was at school before the school year started once. And the mom, the next door neighbor, she was concerned. She was hanging out with another mom, and they came by my room. I was probably wearing a tie because I was on the clock, but there were no kids around, because again, school hadn't started yet. And this mom was saying that she was preoccupied. That is to say, she was nervous and upset because her child ended up with this particular teacher for the upcoming year, and her expectations were not high. She had heard things about this teacher making things a problem for other children and other parents. So for the purposes of our story, I'm going to call this lady Mrs. Hassel. And my next door neighbor, I don't like to say this, at all, but I got to say she had heard, and she wasn't far from the truth. I'd seen this teacher in action. I'd had her students go from her class to my class the following year, and they were like in a form of shell shock after whatever went on the year before. So, my neighbor was totally correct about that. But when she came to me, and when she was complaining about this, because obviously everybody wants something done about it, what I had to say was, if you're looking for problems, you're going to find them. It was the right thing to say. This particular parent measured those words, I suppose. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but eventually she did come around, and it wasn't such a terrible year. But anyway, that's the deal with Mrs. Hassel. Instead of like looking for problems, she accentuated the positive, which makes me think, as I always think about my grandma, don't I? She used to like to sing that Ella Fitzgerald song, "Accentuate the Positive." All those tunes from the Depression era. My grandparents used to love and sing. They used to love to sing these songs all the time, and they were always so chipper. Anyway, not like singing ska songs from the 1980s with the theme of unemployment, for example, right? Sunny Side of the Street. Don't forget that one. Frank Sinatra. All right, let me see my notes here. I think I covered everything. Yeah. So the power of perspective. I'm going to check the chat now, and I'm going to see if anyone wanted to see if I could throw some tarot cards for them. So let's take a look. Oh, wow. Judy says that the electroculture also worked for her friend's garden as well. That's outstanding. Not sure why we don't teach that in school. I'm not sure why every middle school teacher, has to be able to talk about farming and stuff. How's that like not a normal thing? Anyway, there's so many things that are taken away from us that we all, it was taken away from us, from all of us. We need to get it back, and part of it is we have to learn what's missing, right? Let's do an inventory. That's what I'm doing here. We're taking stock of the things that, and I didn't talk about Fresno yet. We're all taking stock of all the things that are around us, what seems to be missing, which leads me back to the old world exploration thing. I'm sorry, I forgot this part. So I mentioned that about 4 minutes, 25 seconds of that California County Courthouse video, they show pictures of Fresno, California. So going back to my own provincial attitude about Buffalo, even in California, I consider Fresno, where if I've ever been there, I've only driven through it. It's considered mostly a farm town, horses and cows and cattle for sure, and farming. But then you look at these pictures of Fresno, and it looks like Madison, Wisconsin, and it looks like it looked like old New York, unbelievable buildings there. And what a shame that they knocked them all down. It also goes along with another idea the person at Old World Exploration brought forward, was that we like to think that the Native Americans all lived in teepees and wigwams, and they roamed from place to place. No, all these buildings were there, and they were all living in them. I know I heard that part for sure in some history book when they were talking about Old World Florida. That Jackson couldn't wait to get down there and confiscate those cities, I suppose. All right. So, we have another guest in the chat. All right, thank you. So it's LMAA. Good morning. Good to see you again. So I can't tell if Judy wanted a reading. I'd be happy to do one, but I do see that LMAA would like to have good news about his job in September. Will I have good news? Yeah, let's ask a yes or no question. That's the easiest way to get a clear response. Okay, and Judy chimed in too. All right, so we'll go with LMAA first, and then back to Judy. Thank you so much for inviting me to read, the two of you, and for joining me this morning. I hope it's not too early where you are. All right, good news about my job in September. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about LMAA's job in September. Will there be good news for LMAA in September about the job? Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about LMAA's job in September. Will there be good news? Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. This is for LMAA. There's good news about the job in September. Will there be good news about the job in September? All right, let's check it out. We asked a yes or no question. It makes me feel like maybe I should have drawn fewer cards to make it more succinct, but let's see what happens. Will there be good news? I think they're having fun with us already, LMAA. It's the Hangman. Let's read what it says on the card. Pause, surrender, letting go, new perspective, enlightenment, viewing things differently than before, deep insight, sacrifice, change, release. We asked if there's going to be good news, and we said, and they said, have a different perspective. So if we had to say yes or no, maybe no, but of course we've only looked at one. Well, the Hierophant, the learned man, and also acceptance by society. Let's read what it says on the card, because we want to make sure we help here. We want to identify for sure. Is it good news or okay? Institutions, tradition, religion, society and its rules, social approval, conformity, forgiveness, bonded, mercy, wisdom, and trust. I don't know, society and its rules. Let's take a look over here. Ooh, the Empress. See, all right. Well, that looks really good, though. The Empress says, abundance, nurturing, fertility, feminine, good parenting, development, accomplishment, growth, evolution, action. Feels like it's let's try both angles, shall we? What if it's no? Okay, it's not going to be good news, but you're going to take what you learn and it's going to bring you, growth and evolution. In a different way, you're going to be better off without it. Now, if the news happens to be yes, then obviously there's a lot to learn, and again, you'll be in a good position. I see it working out either way so far. Okay, this card saves the day. Let's go down to the second sentence. Oh, here's some more good news. The 10 of Pentacles. Phew. 10 of Pentacles, wealth, financial security, family, long-term success, contribution. This is for LMAA, but I'm wondering if this doesn't apply to me also. The 8 of Wands indicates speed, flight, travel. Let's read what it says on the card. Rapid action, movement, swift change, manifesting quickly, quick decisions, and air travel. Oh, wow. The Fool. New beginnings, possibilities, innocence, spontaneous optimism, trust in life, blind faith, adventure, opportunity, and pleasure. Trust in life. Yay. So this is the 4 of Wands. It says celebration, joy, harmony, marriage, home, community, and homecoming. I wonder if you could see how happy those people are where they're dancing together. So no matter what the news is, everything else looks great. Something tells me that no matter what the news is, since it's going to be good, just keep marching forward. You look protected in a way. Well, anyway, congratulations and enjoy these good times. Thanks a lot for letting me read, LMAA. So my answer, so I went through both of them. I say that whether the answer is yes or no, you're still going to be in a great position. My initial instinct was, no, you may not hear good news. But again, who am I? I'm some stranger on the internet throwing tarot cards. But even if the answer is no, everything else looks promising. You have the Empress, you have financial stability, you have the beginning of a new adventure and long-term success planned that happens right away. So no matter what the decision is, the rest of your path looks great. It's kind of like, I don't know if you are into, sports at all, but it's like, it was the first inning and your team, your pitcher gave up a couple of home runs, but you still win the game. So I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to play it like a flow chart, right? If the answer is no, maybe a new path develops, which is going to be rich and fulfilling and worth celebrating. But if the answer is yes, again, you're still going to be on the same path of learning and comfort and long-term success and a quick new beginning. Anyway, I tried the best I could, LMAA, and I want to wish you luck. I think it's good to be prepared for both eventualities. All right, yeah, you're welcome. Phew. All right, and now, I just try to help. I do enjoy telling the stories, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful to everyone for inviting me to read. Okay. All right, so Judy, I see your note in the chat. Wow. All right. It sounds like the role you're taking in the workplace there is a bit of an ambassadorship, shall we say? You're communicating. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's discuss the path to becoming, the path to your, learning to be the bridge person there. Great. That's pretty fascinating, Judy. All right. I bet you probably have some friends standing around in my living room right now trying to help get the message to you. So let me give this a shot here. Hello, Tarot World. Here's Judy. She's all looking forward to becoming a bridge of communication. I'm sure you want to show us all some pointers on the best way she can learn how to do that. I'm sure like you could drop some clues so she knows which path to follow. Thanks a lot. It's my pleasure to deliver the message. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear to help Judy. To help Judy. Ah, fascinating. These are for Judy. Okay. This is for entertainment purposes only. I was laughing and getting the chills while I was throwing those cards down. So let's see what happens. Maybe I'm just getting heated up here. All right, so the Knight of Wands, charge forward. Energy, passionate, inspired action, adventure, fearless, impulsiveness. If I haven't pointed out to you before, if you look underneath the horse's hooves, those are the Egyptian pyramids, and that's old school spirituality. The spirit world's got your back. Your resume has been accepted. You're now, an intern. Wow. And then your job is kind of bringing all four cups together, the three cups that are on the ground and the one cup that's in the sky. Let's read what it says on the four cups. Meditation, contemplation. It also says apathy, reevaluation, and disconnected. But that's only because I would say, like, for example, with the word disconnected, the astral world is disconnected from us, most of us here in the Western Hemisphere. Meditation and contemplation seem to be words that describe the job. And, you're getting a lot of experience with that already. Oh, and look, isn't this your school photo, the High Priestess? Intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, purity, and high morals. Sometimes the first sentence is a restatement of what my intention is when I shuffle the cards. Well done, Tarot World. That was like that one. All right, so now we know this is going to be good too. The World card. Completion, accomplishment, wholeness, attainment, fulfillment, travel, celebration of life, arriving. The Two of Wands, green light, go. You've been planning, you have permission, the universe says go. Ooh, the Two of Pentacles. It talks about multiple priorities, juggling things. You'd be juggling two dimensions, by the way. The dream world and the regular world. Ooh, and that world is hidden. So here's what I see right off the bat. We want to talk about your path to becoming the High Priestess. It's pretty much already done. You've already done the homework probably in a previous life. So you have the green light, go, explore both dimensions at the same time. You still have a lot to reveal to yourself because that world is hidden from a lot of us. Let's read what it says on the Seven of Swords. betrayal, deception, getting away with something, acting strategically, and trickery. I think acting strategically is the one that works the most. You're being an ambassador. You're learning about, what the intentions are on all sides, and you're bringing them together. I think that, I think you already know about your job. I think you already know about your mission. And you probably already knew about it before you were born, right? Okay, cool. Let's see what the last two cards say. All right, the Wheel of Fortune. We just said you probably knew about it before you were born. The Wheel of Fortune talks about fate and destiny. It's not just luck. Good luck is where it leads off. Karma, life cycles, destiny, turning point, change, inevitable fate, ups and downs, and unpredictable. Yeah, despite ups and downs and what's unpredictable, you're still following the path in the book, your life book, okay? And the last message is, yay, I love it. You're being cheered on, okay? Here's the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups says, knight in shining armor. I think you're like, the class president there, maybe the teacher's pet, because they already know, as you already know, what you're all about. You're on the right path. You're making me look good when you allow me to throw cards like this, by the way. So thanks and congratulations. Keep up the good work. I'm proud to know you. All right. So I'm going to give these a quick shuffle. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching the show today. I want to thank our guests in the chat and giving me a chance to read some tarot cards. I always have fun doing this. So I hope everyone has a good day. Remember that spirit world's on your side. Look for the signs that the spirit world is trying to send you, because the spirit world loves you, is trying to contact you the whole time. Thank you very much. See you next time. Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, thank you.